All right, everybody, we're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to our July Urban Experience meeting. We got a long one, so a few things might bounce around, but we are going to start off. I don't know if there is any public testimony in the room. No public testimony? Okay. Then let's jump right into it. We've got our point in time and housing inventory count for 2025.
Good afternoon, everybody. John Clapp. I'm not actually presenting, but my name's on the sheet, so our presenters here, Amanda and Don.
Wonderful. Thanks, John.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Sure, yeah. Why don't we start then? We're going to start with our monthly permit report instead with Steve McDonald, and then we'll go to the point in time count. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the council. Tammy Palmquist is not in the office today, so you're stuck with me today. But I did want to thank Ryan Thompson, Sean Shields, and Stephanie. Every time I do this, Stephanie gets pulled into doing all my many edits. So first slide there. So we, to talk about overall our construction permits, which is the ones that we really pay close attention to year to date, they're up about 9%. That's positive. Total year to date permits are down slightly, like less than 4%. Inspections have been even all year. Switching to valuations, we're in line with the 3 of the last 4 years of valuation, so things are going well there. Housing, total housing units year to date, 417. That's up about 20% from last year, but lower than our 4-year average. We had some big years in there. Multifamily has been solid, 294 units year to date. Single family, 85 units. Interestingly, Sean and Ryan figured out that our median job values for permitted single family homes have gone down since 2023 through 2025, and yet the per square foot valuation has gone up. So that tells us a few things. We don't know for sure, but maybe housing prices have moderated. Housing sizes have gone down over in these last couple of years. That's what we think that is.
And on that, Steve, is that how much land are those houses occupying?
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at that, and probably that's something that I'd have to check with Tammy and the team to see if we capture that. And if we do, it's probably going to be easier when we get to the next software system rather than trying to go through Excel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because that's about an 1,800 square foot home right there at 190 for a $350,000 house. So.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So other DSC activity, we mentioned the software. So Excella, as you guys know, is being replaced over time here with a system called Llama. And that's a really time-consuming but important thing that we're doing to help both our efficiency with our staff, but most importantly, customer service and transparency, where people can look in and see how their permits are doing. And we look forward to that getting done. We're looking at testing starting in August and a release in November of this year. Also, Tammy has spent some time with some of the other folks in DSC with Parks and Rec and actually the DSP, and trying to come up with a way that we can get some trees planted and replaced and a system that will allow that. So they're working on that. And then a reminder that all of our deliverables have been sent into Commerce. This Tammy was actually part of a work group through Commerce last year. She was the only representative of Eastern Washington on this entire work group. But that work that she did there led to us getting a $375,000 grant, which is going to go to defray some of the costs for the new llama permit system. Total permit applications here. So this is everything, all of our trade permits, construction, planning permits, all that. We're on target with both the year-to-date and June numbers for the last 4 years. And then total construction permits, which is a subset of the overall permits, which is really the building stuff for the most part. That's up both year-to-date and in June. Inspections, pretty incredible just how many inspections get done, but we're right in line both year-to-date, just minor differences there compared to the 4-year average. And then public and private job values. This is not showing monthly, this is just year-to-date, and it's the green is public projects and the blue is private projects. And you can see that taking out 2024, which we had a real high year, that's Jubilant Hollister. They have a major valuation for their lines when they add that in. I think that year it was 150 million or so. But if you take that out, I mean, our private job valuations have been pretty even, but you can see just a trend all the way down on the green for public projects, and that's because of levies or bonds or things that have happened in the past that have now kind of come to an end. And so when those start up again, we'll start seeing more of those dollars coming forward. I mean, the good news there, as I've pointed out in the past, is that we're still having the same basic valuations, yet it's all happening with private sector money rather than tax dollars. So when we add in the tax dollars, it's just going to push it that much further. Multifamily is still showing really good. Our 4-year average year-to-date is down slightly, but over last year we're 88% higher than last year, and last year was the record year. So some of that is timing when people are getting permits or getting their plans in, or trying to meet certain deadlines having to do with new codes and that type of thing. But bottom line is right now we're better than last year, and last year we had a record number of permits for multifamily. Single family is here. We're down almost 50% over the 4-year average. I believe that has a lot to do with economic factors. I can't prove that out, but interest rates and everything have a dampening impact on people being able to move and buy a home when the interest rates are so high. So the thinking is that's what that is. And then this slide is our total residential units permitted, broken down into the categories with the last 4 years information there. So total units permitted is down about 30% on the year-to-date 4-year average, but about 20% higher. Like I mentioned before, we're about 20% higher than last year in 2025 versus 2024. We are on target to have our 5th consecutive year of over 1,000 residential units permitted, which is historically, I don't believe that's ever happened. We've never had that many years in a row of over 1,000 units. We're now measuring certificates of occupancy, or C of Os, and so on the last slide, you don't have to go back, but on the last slide, the total number of residential permits issued was 417, and you see that we issued 471 C of Os. So it's good that we're tracking this now, because in the past and the distant past, there wasn't as much focus on making sure we're getting the C of O information when we have that and kind of tracking it. So we actually issued more C of Os than we issued building permits, and that's because there's always going to be a time lag between when people are submitting their plans, when they get permitted, how long it takes them to get built, and before they ask for a C of O. But now we're starting to track the C of O, and that will definitely be tracked carefully in the new system. So that's helpful information. This, I believe, is probably one of our most important slides because it really tells you pipeline and what's coming down the road. So the top box is talking about what's in the hopper now. These are plans that are under plan review right now. That means somebody has hired an architect, hired engineers, they've drawn up plans, they've paid for the plan review, and then we're doing that review. So I don't have a way to prove this other than the way it works out is that the overwhelming majority, when somebody's paid for all that work and paid for the plan review, it's very likely that those projects will be built. So it's important to know that we have 1,200 units of residential that are right now in plan review, which is a really good news. The smaller box down below, it's much less sure that every one of those units is going to be built, but it's still important that we track and know how many units are being proposed when people come in through pre-dev, that's long before they actually submit their plans, or MFTE, which you have to apply for MFTE in order to get that benefit before you submit your plans. So these are even additional units, but not all of those will for sure come through, but a good chunk of them will. Say 50% or 60%, and you're up at another 1,000 units right there.
And Steve, on that, one of the things I always like to know is how many of those are ownership opportunities, though?
On the MFT, very few, if any.
Right, of the 1,200.
Oh, of the 1,200, well, generally, all of your single-family residents.
Yeah.
Some duplexes, maybe, if they're, I don't know. I think it's kind of broken out right there for you.
Yeah.
Yep. Next slide breaks down several different categories. Building permits, residential remodel permits, residential units, ADUs, all by council district.
It doesn't want
What is that?
It's not changing.
Oh. That's weird.
Okay. Thank you.
There we go. So basically, District 2 had the most building permits overall when compared to the other two council districts. District 3 had the most residential remodel permits. District 1 had the most residential units permitted, 315. District 2 had the most ADUs, and by far, District 1 had the largest construction valuation. And I believe that's due to large projects up in the Northeast, but also the projects that get done now in downtown. And the last slide here is, or I think we have two more actually. This is the largest projects issued by construction valuation. You guys see this each month. We'll add one to it when we get one that's bigger. Those are all projects I think you've seen before. And then the largest projects in plan review by construction valuation is the last slide. So that is it for June. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. I'm wondering, so I think it was November, December, we approved a bunch of fee increases. And in doing so, we were told we were going to speed up the process, we were going to make it more efficient, faster, et cetera. Do you have details of what we've done to improve? And I'm asking because, at the end of this committee, we're going to talk about a number of housing ordinances that, in my mind, pit one style of housing against another. And that's not what we were told we were raising those fees for. And so I would just love to find out, how have we improved the system since those fees have gone into place?
Well, I mean, there's a number of things underway. You know about the permit software system. I think Tammy's reported for additional staff that she's brought forward, which helps the throughput. You're going to be hearing more from Tim about a development code redo, which we absolutely need to do. It's been years and years since we've actually looked at our development code and organized it in a way that makes sense, that helps our staff do things quicker, but also makes it easier for contractors and architects to know what they have to do and what guidelines they have to meet. I mean, there's a number of things. And so those are all underway. And again, the permit fees hadn't been adjusted in 16 years or so. And as you know, our costs go up as a enterprise fund. We're kind of like a little mini business in that we're having to pay people more because labor rates go up and contracts are changed. So to not adjust it for 16 years was a real problem. And I think we now can adjust that little by little as needed by cost of living increase, which is a much better way to go. So in the future, you're not going to see large increases like we had to do to catch up. But I can talk with Tammy, she's out of town right now, and see if I missed something that would be specific to your question.
Well, it's just a concern of mine
Yeah.
that we're going to devote, resources to, again, one style of housing, all important, but I fear that it's going to deter the broader, housing development in the city if we're not expediting and providing the same level, if not much better service to those, who are looking to build units in the city. I mean, there's plenty of jurisdictions around us that make it easier to build and permit, a little bit faster to permit. And so what are we doing to make sure that we are retaining? We were talking about 22,000 housing units that we're now going to mandate upon ourselves by nobody else. Commerce doesn't mandate it, but we're going to mandate it upon ourselves to build. So what are we doing to actually ensure that we're not going to lose housing units, but we're going to increase?
Well, I mean, I think the proof's in the pudding. If you take 22,000 units and you divide it by the 20 years that we're going to be doing that, we're already meeting that, actually going above it. So last year, we permitted 1,453 units. The year before that, and that's like I mentioned, why we're doing this year, looks like it's going to work out to be another 1,000-plus unit year. So we're already permitting that many units. We want to permit more, and that can happen when we generate more revenue from permits coming in and we're able to add some staff that will help with throughput. But I'm very positive on us, with the resources that we've had, being able to get through that many units. And I don't think there's another jurisdiction anywhere near here that's gone anywhere near 1,000 units for 5 years in a row. So believe me, Tammy, myself, Spencer, everyone here wants to do more, but we also have to do it with resources, and that's why we were so strongly wanting to get some additional fee revenue, and that we take the enterprise fund seriously, and we believe that we should be using that effectively to add staff, add resources. The development code thing that Tim Thompson has talked to you about is something that can be really, really helpful for us. And not just us, but the customer. So we're trying to do whatever we can, and I think we do a good job with the resources that we have, and we want to do better.
Well, we'll get into it. I just think we should be trying to maximize housing across the board, and it just doesn't feel like maybe that's what we're doing. So.
And I would just want to get clarity from Councilwoman Cathcart. So you saying you feel there's a disconnect between market rate housing and affordable housing? Is that what you're speaking to?
Yeah, I feel like that's the direction we're going because, I mean, with the proposed ordinances, we 3 years ago, I guess it was, previous administration, all that, we set a goal of 2 weeks for permit times, and I don't think we're anywhere near that. I mean, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but what are we doing to get there? That's how we're going to attract, I think, a lot more development in the city is by expediting those things. I mean, we've been talking about deferring fees to CO since I was on, the infill steering committee back in 2017, 16, whenever it was, and it still hasn't happened. But now we're talking about it only for a very narrow select few. But I mean, if we want housing, we shouldn't really be biased.
Yeah, I don't feel we're biased, and maybe I'm missing. Where are you saying that we're not supportive of overall housing versus?
Well, we're talking about deferring COs only for affordable. We're talking about changing permit times and expediting things only for affordable. I mean, we're talking about all these things that is going to take resources away from the broader, housing efforts and put it all into one site.
Yep.
Not to say that affordable isn't important. We need a ton more affordable. Right. But if you're not also building a ton more of market rate, it's not going to work. Yeah. It's a ladder. We all know about the ladder.
Yeah, if we were to spread a fee deferral across the board, that might be a little bit difficult. We're not necessarily against that. A fee deferral could be let's get started with this program and see how it works, and we could make that expansive. That's just a timing issue that we have an ability in government to be able to have a little bit more time sensitivity, whereas the developer has a tough time making payments and on their timeline. So that's something I'm totally open to, but we're not going and doing plan reviews on just affordable housing ahead of market rate at all. We're not doing that at all. So
Well,
Yeah.
and today you're not wrong, but in
Yeah.
what's proposed, that's where I fear some of these things might be coming in. And so I would love to see how do we make sure that whatever we do to support more affordable housing, it is not either detracting from or frankly competing with the rest of it. It should all be working together. I mean,
Yeah.
we need all the housing we can get, and I don't think we should put any side off. We
Right.
should do whatever that we can to maximize the number of units we're getting.
Yeah, no,
That's all I'm
I
saying.
agree, and I've heard the mayor say this too, and I remember Spencer a couple years ago giving an example of how if we're just building just pure housing, even if it was all market rate right now, which of course we need affordable workforce and other, but that still has a help with affordable housing when you're building a number of units because people move from one unit to the other, that makes it available. It's all about supply, and we have to address some of these segments for sure. But we're all for as much housing, and I don't believe anything that's been proposed is going to put market rate housing at a disadvantage. I believe we're going to be continuing to do our plan reviews the way we've been doing them with more staff and with the fee impact on that can help us adding staff when we can.
Councilmember Zepone, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, Steve, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it was within the last year, 6 months, we received a grant from Commerce to expedite permitting. We've allocated funding for more people. I think we used the reserve funds for that. Can you give us an update kind of on how those funds have been used and what kind
Yeah.
of difference that's making?
Sure. So that 375,000, I mentioned it earlier, it may have been before you came in. And that was a Commerce grant, and that's being used, it was specifically for software to help make it easier for customers to submit their plans and tell where they are in the queue. And so that is something that we'll be getting, that 375,000 here shortly. We just put the finishing touches on some information that they needed, and that's going to go to defray the cost of the new Llama software system that's going to replace Excella, which is a legacy old system that's giving us lots of problems. So that'll be a big help. And then the fee increase allowed us to then justify from a budget standpoint that we could add some additional staff, which we've done. And there may be another position that we're looking to. I'll check with Tammy, but we've been able to fill a couple of positions there as well. Yeah.
What I'll say before we move on is the developers I talk to, which is a lot of them, typically it's not a reasonable fee that is the impediment. It is the permit time. So I appreciate you guys focusing on
No
that.
question.
And any update we can get on that anytime is valuable. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right. Point in time count. Here we go.
Good afternoon again. Apologies about that. There were some last minute changes made this morning. So I first want to start off by saying thank you to the community, the COC board, the department. This is a huge lift and we could never do it without them, so thank you. To start off, I would like to level set on the definition of a point in time count, right? So it is a HUD mandated count that you're supposed to capture the number of individuals experiencing homelessness, both sheltered and unsheltered, on a single night in January during the last 10 days of January. So this year, that count occurred January 22nd of 2025, and sheltered is emergency shelter, transitional housing, and safe havens. Now, our community does not have any safe havens, so for us, it's just emergency shelter and transitional housing. And unsheltered is any place not meant for human habitation. Oh, thank you. Okay. And then that is part one, and it's always married to the HIC, the housing inventory count. So that is looking at all of the units available and dedicated to those who are experiencing homelessness on that same night of the pit. So it is a single night inventory. And it looks at emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, and a special category called OPH, which is really just a combination of permanent housing and permanent housing with services. So the difference there is that permanent supportive housing, there's disability required, and for permanent housing with services, there's no disability required for entry. Okay? And the methodology for both the point-in-time count and the housing inventory count are mandated by HUD. So this is a map. It's a heat map of all of the locations where we pinged for surveys during the count. Now we do a sheltered-based count, so we count for several days and then we deduplicate. We're spread throughout. I do want to point out that we have a slight concentration in downtown, but we did get a very high number of our surveys for unsheltered during the Spokane Connect event, so that did sort of create some cluster around the convention center. And this is actually all of our shelter locations. So the darker blue is emergency shelter, and then that lighter blue is the transitional housing. And if they're sharing the bubble, it means they're in the same location. The bigger the bubble, the more beds we had, or the more people that were there that night. To emphasize, this is a county-wide count. It's not just the city, it's not just the city of Spokane Valley, or just the county. It's every jurisdiction within the COC. Okay. So we had a total of 18, around 1,800, 1,806 counted persons and about 1,500 households. So unsheltered, we had about 617 people. And then in transitional housing, we had about 303, and we had over 800, almost 900 in emergency shelter. Okay. This is that same count, just broken down by population types. So our adult, child, adult only, and child only. Our largest category of counts where we have people is the adult only, and most of that is in emergency shelter. The majority of our adult child households are actually staying in transitional housing, and the majority of our child only are in emergency shelters. Okay. Now this is specific to youth population, so we have parenting youth and unaccompanied youth. So this is everyone 18 to 24 or under the age of 18. In the case of parenting youth, it could be anyone 18 to 24 with a child or anyone under the age of 18 who also has a child. And unaccompanied youth is anyone, again, 18 to 24, but they're on their own. Yes, ma'am.
And that is a HUD distinction? Is that how they describe it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. And this is our veteran population. So actually in this year in 2025, we had no households with adult child that where one of the adults was a veteran counted in this population. We did have adult only, and the total number above the bars is everyone that was in there, all the persons, but we did put the veteran count independently, so how many veterans themselves in that white within the bar. Okay. Now this is additional populations, so just because someone is counted in one doesn't mean that they can't be counted in several other categories. So those includes those who are survivors of domestic violence, those adults with serious mental illness, a substance use disorder, or who are experiencing HIV or AIDS. Okay. And now the next two slides are demographics. So I will say that we have breakdowns of demographics for all the population types, or just later in the slides. It'll be broken down into two, where the first one will be race and age, and the second will be gender and chronic homelessness. I will say here on race, there is a category called multiracial. We are working with all of the universities, so WSU, so Washington State University, Eastern, and Whitworth, to be able to disaggregate that data and get a better understanding of what that category is. The majority of the overall totals will be under the white racial category and within the demographic of 35 to about 44 years old. Okay. And chronic homelessness, we had around 346 in unsheltered and 345 in emergency shelters. Now, you cannot be, for the purposes of the point in time count, I should clarify because the definitions vary, you cannot be considered chronically homeless in transitional housing. So that's why we never have that category anywhere. The largest category in gender was male, followed by then female. There is a more than one gender, and then we did go ahead and break that down into a pie chart to see those who identified with multiple genders. Okay. Now this is our trends from 19 to 25. I do want to point out that we did not do an unsheltered count in 21. Due to COVID. So any of the further charts that we have, including later in the presentation where we do trend analysis, between the population types, you'll always see unsheltered in 21 as 0. That's just because we never did a count due to COVID. Okay. We have a slight decrease in similar to last year, but we did increase slightly on our unsheltered. Now, we do ask, for several years, we've asked consistently on the point in time count, except in 20 and 21, like I mentioned, we didn't do the count. In 20, we just didn't ask the question. I'm not exactly sure why. But we always ask if they lived in Spokane County before they were experiencing this episode of homelessness. And consistently throughout the years, we see that roughly within that 70% range do say that they were from Spokane County before they began to experience homelessness and resided here before that.
So I do have a question on this,
Of course.
because our 2023 point-in-time count specifically has different numbers than this. I cite them all the time, as a matter of fact. And last known residents, the question that we asked in the point-in-time count that we were given, 2/3 said that they were not from Washington. Their last known residence was not Washington. So can you help me understand that number here?
Well, when you say that count, are you referring to like a previous report that we've put out?
Yeah, the
or
2023 point-in-time count that went out, 2/3 said that their last known residence was not in Washington State. So,
Well, we use that same data here. So if you have that one.
absolutely, yeah.
And you can send it to me, maybe I can look a bit further into it for
Yep.
you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm always concerned about that because I look at our central, our city as a hub. So I think people forget that we have a couple of prisons in our area, that people are relocated here when they're discharged and they just stay in Spokane, or they ask to come to Spokane to get out of whatever situation they're in. Also, the medical hub, people end up here for medical reasons and they don't leave, for whatever that can be. So I could see how there could be a disconnect, that people are not from here, but due to situations, they end up here. So I think that's challenging for our community sometimes to get its hands around. It's not like the theory that they're just all being bused here. I think we have to look at the other considerations of how people get into the Spokane area.
Of course. There is a committee that we put every year together for the point in time count and about how we word these questions. So if there's any suggestions, please, we would be happy to include those. Okay. And that little chart at the top actually tells us of the total respondents that we had, compares that to our total unsheltered count, so you can have a percentage estimate of how many actually responded. Okay. Now we're moving to our housing inventory count. So we broke down each of the project types here, and so that darker blue is all of the filled beds, and then the lighter blue is the beds that were empty. So we have 4,856 beds for an average utilization of about 80% system-wide. Okay. Now, these are our emergency shelters, and we did break it down to include our inclement weather beds separately from all of our other shelters. So our inclement weather, we had about a 91% utilization on all of our inclement weather beds, compared to about an 83% utilization in our year-round beds. Okay. And this is our total beds broken down by the household type. So it tells you if there are more for households with children, more for households without children, or children-only households. Now, this looks at our trends in beds from 19 to 25. And there have been shifts. I will say that this year, the very large increase in PSH, we worked very closely with the Housing Authority this year to get a very good understanding of all of the VASH vouchers, or the vouchers that are specific for those that are veterans. So we were able to get a better count of those this year. Now, this is all of our shelters, beds throughout the years, but we broke it down to look at the beds that were year-round. They're always there, or they're surge. They're there for inclement weather, or they're activated for several months at a year during planned increased times, like December, or, you know, if we have like a fire and there's smoke dangers, that sort of thing. And the number of year-round beds that we've had over years, we've seen that increase significantly, but we have kept several surge beds over the years as well. Okay. And I will step aside. Thank you.
Thank you, Council, and I apologize. I was frantically looking at Councilmember Bingle's email that he just forwarded. I have seen that slide, and we'll get back to it. The one thing that's confusing to me, and obviously that slide predates the staff we have currently, is that it only represents 173 surveys, which in the 2023 pit count, as you saw in the previous slide, the number of unsheltered total was very high. So we'll go back and see what we have from 2023 and see what we can deduce. I would say that the trend line Amanda showed from the pit data that we have, that 70% from the county is pretty stable. The smaller, I think it was green, bar is within Washington State but outside the county. And one thing to Council President's point too is that we know that we do serve the Panhandle and portions of Western Montana, given the lack of resources in those communities. So even on occasion when we have been able to dial even further in, we do see a predominance from the Pacific Northwest, even if from outside Spokane County or the state of Washington. Not saying it doesn't happen, and I'll look further into that slide because I have seen that.
Yeah.
I just don't know where the 173 came from.
Yeah, because of that 173, you'll see that 98 are from Washington or Idaho, and then the rest,
Are from
the other
outside.
75 are from
Yep.
outside of that area. So,
And we'll see if we have those surveys somewhere to kind of understand which, because even in the heat map from that slide deck, you can see where they surveyed and try and track down. It could have been a Camp Hope
Yeah.
impactor. Yeah.
Yeah, so I pulled this up just to make sure I was right. So what was displayed on the screen is that the question that has been asked is, did you live in Spokane County before you became homeless? But in fact, that's not the question that we were instructed to ask, because I participated in it this year. It was, did you live in Spokane County before you became homeless this episode? Which I think has a substantially different connotation than just Spokane County before becoming homeless. And so if that's not how we asked the question over the years, then I don't think you can compare apples to apples on
Because
that
of
response.
this episode component?
Yeah, I think that changes how you would answer that question potentially.
Respectfully disagree, but we're happy to look at that too and make sure that we are consistent going forward. The couple slides that I wanted to go over with folks, and happy to answer questions too, is just giving a little bit of context to what we're seeing this year. Oh, apologies, I stole it. Thank you. So as Amanda mentioned, we did see an increase in the unsheltered count this year. We wanted to show the total amount of emergency beds that were available in 2024 during the point in time count versus 2025. With the closure of TRAC in October and the fact that TRAC was also in a surge capacity during the January 2024 count, we certainly saw that reduction in shelter beds. And even with that reduction, did not see an equal increase in the unsheltered population. So we're seeing some productive movement in the system, but certainly still have some unmet need in the community. And then the other thing we wanted to just point out was some of the things that have taken place since the January 2025 point in time count this current year, which was we have brought on 65 additional scattered site beds. We made 39 formal row housing referrals that folks actually acted upon. And we were able to, for the last couple months of the CAT Sobering Center, receive permission from Commerce to allow for community referrals. And we did see a huge intake at the CAT Sobering Center from unsheltered populations during that time. So certainly some resources that we've seen come online be successful that we know we need to continue to invest in to be responsive to that unmet need. And then also just some things that we noticed that we want to further evaluate based on this year's point in time and the HIC count. The top one, and we had presented some numbers from this, we're identifying some challenges in the HIC versus how we represent utilization. So in the housing inventory count, we are accounting for each bed in the system. However, when we look at utilization, we're counting bed units. And so we have this disconnect. One example could be that there could be a 3-bedroom apartment where we're counting 3 beds for that unit. But if it is leased to a single household, the unit's full, but 2 beds are unoccupied, and that's counting against our utilization. So Amanda and her team are working closely with HUD to do some updates to the HIC, and that'll help us get a better understanding of our utilization of PSH right now, which when you look at the percentages, they don't match the number of units available. So just trying to get a better understanding of that so we can make some informed decisions. And then also looking at our emergency shelter utilization. So on the night of the HIC, we did see shelter beds that were available. Not as many as we would probably like to see available, but nonetheless, there were beds open. And so also trying to understand and establish better communication pathways and partner engagement to make sure that if there's a bed available, somebody knows they can access it. We did take out, as I mentioned on the slide, the Westminster respite site had opened 9 days before the HIC, and it's referral only, so it was admittedly not full the night of the point in time. So I did pull that data out of this one particular slide just because it gave an inaccurate representation of what was happening at the time. And then one last thing, just kind of wanted to highlight the investments that are underway in response to the point in time count, but also in response to just the myriad of needs we've seen in the community. So the Heart and Affordable Housing Initiative investments will actually be in front of you later this afternoon. That was about $7.5 million in affordable housing that went out for RFP, and those results will come to you for approval starting today. We have three open NOFOs. One of those is the City Outreach Program, which is based on a lot of community feedback of what ways to be more intentional with our outreach efforts and deeply investing in outreach to better align with what we're seeing in the unsheltered need. I would certainly encourage council members to look at that RFP. We're excited about this new model in partnership with PD to be really intentional about how we're reaching each neighborhood and unsheltered populations. The Daytime Navigation Center is also out right now to do our daytime drop-in services. And then we've put out the inclement weather NOFO, which I think you all saw in the last week or two. All three of those will close July 31st. And then in August, we will put out our homeless prevention funds, which will flow to us via the county from state commerce dollars, as well as we're anticipating to go out with the affordable housing and behavioral stabilization services, partially from the 1590 HEART account and partially from a home ARP account. Those will both go out in August with the intent to be in front of council around the Halloween window. But nonetheless, an $18.6 million investment trying to be really intentional about how we address the needs from the pit and also just from our experiences over the last 12 months working in this space.
Don, could you be more specific about your comment about the stabilization? Is that partnering with the county and their new stabilization? Or are we standing up something of our own? Or what are you speaking to?
No, sorry. In the last round from Commerce, during COVID, there was a substantial investment made in what they were calling at the time eviction prevention funds. In the last Commerce budget, the city directly received from Commerce $3.4 million of that fund. In this last biennium, Commerce reinterpreted the legislation to mean that only counties could be recipients of homeless prevention funds. They changed the name from eviction prevention to homeless prevention. And determined that those funds must go straight to the county. The county in turn worked with us to ensure that we still received our same $3.4 million allocation as a subrecipient to the county that we will then administer within the city for the same dollar value, but instead of receiving it straight from the state now, we have to receive it from the county as pass-through. Yeah. And that is new this year. And you will also see later today you have the Commerce contract coming for you for acceptance as well to go administer funds. That $3.4 million will come from the county at a later date. Yeah. And I think that's the end for today. There are a series of additional slides here that get really specific into demographics that we'll share with council, but we would take up your whole afternoon if we tried to get through them today.
Yeah. And can you talk about potential impacts of federal cuts to all of these types of services now or in the future, kind of what that landscape looks like?
Yeah, so I think, as you all probably saw last week, the Community Development Block Grant Program remains on the chopping block. That's about $3.4 million a year that comes to the city of Spokane. The county receives its own allocation, so as a region, it's a pretty substantial sum of funds. Those CDBG dollars do really critical work. They are not homeless services specific. 20% of those funds go towards public services. Right now, we're funding things like childcare expansions, workforce training programs, domestic violence survivors treatment programs. The bulk of those funds actually go to capital projects. Notably, we just came before you all for the partnership with Parks and Neighborhoods to do parks improvements. It also funds things like HVACs at daycare centers, smaller capital investments that are critical to community centers and other community-focused services. The home program is also uncertain. It allocates about $1.5 million a year to the city of Spokane, again with the county getting its own allocation. Those are investments specifically in affordable housing with long-term 25 to 40-year affordability terms. You'll see some of those recommendations from last year's money before you as well today. And then the continuum of care is the last federal project that's really uncertain at the moment. As if you may recall, and John will speak to in just a minute, our continuum of care dollars in this most recent round from HUD were actually given a 2-year funding cycle, which was an incredible opportunity for our providers to have some stability in our continuum of care services, which includes things like HMIS, coordinated entry, permanent supportive housing, The original proposal potentially eliminates the COC, which would be a very detrimental impact to Spokane. That's over 6 million, so we're talking about 9-10 million on the line here. The most recent indication has been potentially maintaining the COC, but not acknowledging the 2-year NOFA process we just went through, and requiring communities to recompete for an unknown amount of funds and potential shift in eligible services. So facing down some pretty serious impacts, yeah.
Don, is not the COC a requirement for HUD funding?
I'm sorry, what?
Is not the COC a requirement for HUD funding?
It is, and the continuum of care, which is a funding package that requires that board to be in existence, and that's about $6 million a year that we receive from HUD that the continuum of care board oversees. The federal budget proposes several potential different arrangements for the COC altogether, one including elimination.
When we're talking about different stabilization centers and shelters and things switching to a reimbursement model, how much of that is Medicaid, Medicare type reimbursements?
So the predominant way that Medicaid is used currently in the shelter system is through the respite programs. We actually met with Chaz last week and Better Health Together probably 2 weeks ago. We're reconvening in a week or two to talk more. The state had been prepared to bring a substantial waiver to the table to support respite. That has been completely put on pause by the healthcare authority. So I think those contracts that we were anticipating to be any day now are now TBD. So I think we will see substantial cuts to respite care.
This isn't a question. I was just going to make a quick comment. Just having participated in the point-in-time count this year, and I had shared this feedback with Ariel earlier, but just a couple things that kind of jumped out at me. And I think we all know that it's not a super accurate, but it's sort of trying to give you an idea. But one of the issues I saw was just the significant size of the geographic area that volunteers were assigned to cover. The area that we had was Hilliard, and I think we maybe walked 15% of it by in the time in the time frame that we had. And so how many may have been missed or overlooked, I think is a definite concern. And then also just kind of the unreliable feedback that you get. One of my takeaways, you would be interacting with somebody, and you can call me judgmental if you want, but it's pretty clear kind of what the issues are that they're dealing with. And yet their answers do not reflect those issues. Maybe it's, is more treatment services something that would be necessary? It's like, oh no, we don't, I don't have an issue. Yeah. And so I think there needs to be a way to collect the observers' information as a part of the point in time, in addition to what their feedback is, because I think that would help just give a little bit more context and maybe accuracy to it. And then also just as you're interviewing individuals, out on the street, and again, this can go for a lot of reasons, but through the questions you're asking that you're told to ask, they might give you one response, and then through the casual conversation that you might have with them throughout or after, they will give you responses that are actually conflicting with what they had told you prior. So trying to understand exactly how accurate things are, what the true situation is, I think is a little challenging. And I think we recognize it's not a perfect system, but I'm just hoping we can maybe figure out some ways to address some of the deficiencies in the future, just to try to get it as accurate as we can. So
yeah, and we totally acknowledge that. We know the point in time it's not a complete picture, and that's part of why we come before you quarterly with our system performance reports, because we know that that's a far better indicator of our project performance, and where we're getting far greater detail and data about clients served, because we do then have providers, to your point, entering information into the HMIS system. And we're always open to feedback on the questions and the formatting, and that committee will reconvene here pretty soon for next January, so we would welcome that feedback. Yeah.
All right, I've got a couple things here.
Okay.
So our new HUD regional director is pretty intimately aware of Spokane. Have we been connecting with them at all recently?
Not with him directly, but with our HUD reps for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would encourage us to lean into him. I think
Oh,
he
yeah.
is absolutely.
Yeah. And we do our COC and our housing authority are very engaged with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
On one of the slides here, it went over mental disorder and substance use. Can we put that back up? Because I have some questions on this. So I think if you totaled them up, if they were unique individuals, it would be about 1,200 that were between mental illness and substance use, but I think you said that they could be co-occurring,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody could answer yes to all 4 of these categories.
Sure. And do we know that amount there? Do we know like 50% of the people with serious mental illness also have a substance use disorder or vice versa?
That's a really good question. It's actually part of what we're partnering with the universities for, to actually see how many of them have some crossover. And it's not only in shelter, but also in unsheltered. Previously, it's been looked at really like unsheltered, but we want to also break that down into our sheltered category. So that is part of that big report that will come out from the universities as well.
Wonderful. And the reason why I ask is, regularly what we're told is that it's a housing problem. And I don't disagree that there's a serious housing component to this. But when I see data like this, if we have 1,800 who are unsheltered, and at the bare minimum, we have 700 folks who are struggling with something pretty serious. I do think it's something, and I'm not saying we don't, but I would like to see a little bit more balance in our conversation when we're talking about it, not just only being housing focused, because there's a lot more to this. So,
Absolutely.
wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else? Yep.
Just a quick question is, working with the universities, so when we're looking at co-occurring disorders, substance abuse, mental illness, are there any other co-occurring disorders that will be captured in that data, or just those 2?
It'll be substance use, but substance use is broken down like alcohol and drugs, and then mental illness. We do have other additional barriers that we can explore with the universities, but those are more something that we'd look at exclusively within the sheltered. We don't necessarily have that data for unsheltered because it would come out of HMIS. It's slightly different what we can get from unsheltered versus sheltered.
And I would say, too, this is self-report, so.
Yeah.
I get the HMIS system where we also ask these questions is going to have a better representation. Same scale of problem, but
Yeah.
more accuracy, probably.
When we get into disaggregating that data as well, though, just because in the survey you find that someone had a substance abuse disorder when they got surveyed, I've been warned over and over again by providers not to conflate with that as a cause of homelessness. A lot of folks end up homeless because of economic reasons and become addicted after that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. But again, when we're having a community conversation about it, it feels as if it's anybody who says, we have an addiction problem, or, we've got a serious mental illness problem. They're sort of poo-pooed as bad people, and that's been frustrating because it is a serious housing problem, but there are real human spirit brokenness issues that we're dealing with as well. And so I don't want those to be, you're a bad person because and that is oftentimes how the conversation is portrayed.
No, and I appreciate that. I think that's part of where, the all of the above approach comes from, because we know that, yes, housing is part of this crisis, as well as addiction, as well as mental health, and there's a myriad of interventions that need to be deployed to get our hands around it, and housing is one of many. Yeah.
I would just add on to that the mental health and the addiction problems happen in the housed community as well. So it's not necessarily a bigger fish to fry, but it's a much broader thing than housing.
All right, thank you
Thank
so
you, guys.
much. And next up, we have the Continuum of Care grant agreements.
All right, and I am presenting this one. Did you get a cover sheet in your physical packets? It looked like the electronic packet didn't have a cover sheet for this item.
We don't get physical packets.
Okay, well, that's good. Eco-friendly. Well, I'll give you the context in case and make sure that gets in for the final approval. As was mentioned, Continuum of Care is newly going through every 2-year application process for funding. This is funding from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The actual grant award is still an annual thing, so each year we come before you and ask for approval to accept and then redistribute these funds. This year's funds total $6.8 million and some change. This goes towards both adult as well as youth homeless service programming in our community. And happy to answer any questions you might have. But the programs are detailed in the packet as well, so feel free to take a look at those.
You got off easy, John.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, we'll see you, buddy. All right, next up, we've got Tyrrell Black, report on the progress, periodic update to the comprehensive plan, Plan Spokane 2046. What a title.
Yes, thank you for that intro. I have a couple quick slides just to remind you of the the scope of the work. I know a lot of our work projects are coming before you, but just kind of reminding everybody that there is a connection. So we did start at the end of 2024. We're now mid-2025. We've completed some of our work, but we are still continuing a lot of our projects. We hope to complete by our deadline, December 2026. And we heard previous comment from council that a little ahead of December would be very helpful, since you will be considering your budget at that time. So we're trying to get it earlier than that. We have completed the land capacity analysis. We are nearing completion of our work on racially disparate impacts and displacement. Also, we are completing our work on the housing by income band. These are both new additions to housing that are required statewide. And we are going to hopefully bring both of those to you if you have time on your September meeting, since you do not have an August Urban Experience meeting. The housing by income band, we did have at our last Plan Commission meeting. It is up on Vimeo. It was over half an hour of detailed information. So wanted to point that out, that you can deep dive into that if one is interested. We're continuing our climate planning work. You will see in your upcoming packets additional funds coming from Commerce. That's the balance of our Commerce funds from the Climate Commitment Act. And we are also entering into an additional contract with our primary consultant, Burke and Cascadia, to continue to work on that. That is the only part of our work around policy that we are using a consultant to assist with. We have already begun with Plan Commission on the chapter review. We've tried to start with some of the ones that we think have a little less change, a little simpler. So we've established a working group with Plan Commission. We've gone through a few of the chapters, and those are posted on our website. So you can sort of check in on progress if you're interested in particular chapters. We did also make sure and present to Community Assembly on the Neighborhoods chapter, as they were particularly interested in our progress on that. We did a lot of community engagement in March. We are planning late October, early November for another series similar to what we did. We did a workshop in every district and one downtown. We had very good participation, so we're hoping we can follow that format again. We are also working on our draft EIS. We are really working on that in-house right now, but that is what we hope to be showing to the public in the fall. So excited about that. Mostly just want everybody to know there is a lot going on. If you're interested in particular areas, to please let us know. We have monthly newsletter. We've also been getting good outreach into the whole citywide newsletter, but we do have a specific one to the planning work. So that was the main purpose of the presentation today, is just kind of remind you that we are doing a lot and we're working and still are welcoming engagement from the public. I also have item 15.
Yes, quickly though.
Okay.
I want to say on this right here, the T-Rex brings me immense joy, and I didn't expect that until it popped up. But if that's customizable, can we have it be a marmot or something?
I'm not sure. That is a very good question.
We see, we have a marmot right up above
I think
it,
it's
you know?
auto-generated, but, I like it.
It's the little things, I don't know, but, okay. Yeah, why don't you do number 15
That's
for
true.
us as well?
A little bit of humor sometimes is
That's
really
right.
helpful. Item 15 is interlocal agreement between the county, the city of Spokane Valley, Liberty Lake, on and on, all the cities within Spokane County. This is for the interlocal agreement governing the rules of the Steering Committee of Elected Officials of the Growth Management Act. So colloquially known as the Steering Committee. It is made up from our end, Councilmember Dillon, Councilmember Klitsky, and Councilmember Cathcart are all appointed members of that group. Other elected officials also from the region participate to undertake evaluation of growth management questions. Because we are in a periodic update cycle, this group has been especially busy working on the countywide planning policies. There has been a change to state law, which the county is to invite tribes to engage in this regional planning work. So the interlocal agreement has been amended, and I believe Councilmember Klitsky was on the elected officials subcommittee working on this project to invite the Spokane tribe and the Kalispel tribe to appoint members onto the steering committee of elected officials. So that is what this interlocal agreement does.
All right, thank you, Terrell. Appreciate
you.
it. Yes. All right, next up we have Angel Spell. If you want to come on down here, a resolution on a one-year reforestation pilot program for downtown Spokane.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who I don't know or you don't know me, my name is Angel Spell. I'm an assistant director in park operations with Parks and Recreation. I'm here today to talk about a resolution that would establish a one-year reforestation plan, a pilot project for downtown Spokane. I think we are all well aware of the many challenges that downtown brings for our tree canopy. It is a really, really brutal place to ask trees to grow. So we have challenges with our water, with our irrigation. There's a split system between public system and private system. We have lots of vehicle traffic. We have lots of pedestrian traffic. We have other infrastructure in terms of street furniture, signs, asphalt, concrete, tree grates, parking meters, you name it, it's in that right-of-way space. And then we want to put plants there too, really big plants. So our goal for 2030 is to have 30% canopy coverage across the city. Downtown right now in Riverside neighborhood, we have 7% canopy cover. The folks who live downtown, work downtown, and visit downtown deserve a full, healthy, sustainable tree canopy as well. So this pilot program is going to be a way for us to work, our urban forestry program, to work in partnership with the Downtown Spokane Partnership Organization and the other city departments to effectively turn the trend around and add more trees to downtown and sustain more trees in downtown. So it is predominantly a planting and maintenance program. It would have us work in partnership to develop some of DSP's staff to be more knowledgeable and proactive as their green team is downtown working with plants every day. It would allow us to work on a cost-share grant program with DSP. It would allow us to assign one of our own urban foresters to be the point person for the folks who are trying to plant trees downtown, property owners, property managers, and their landscape contractors. So we would extend a program that we already have right now that serves our residential customers in tree permitting. And that program allows them to use staff resources to act as the permit holder in planting trees. So that provides the technical assistance in picking out the right species for the right place to be planted properly. And that is the general overview of the pilot program. We would come back in 1 year's time and report on our findings of what worked best, and what needs to be changed to be more effective.
So thank you. I heard this at Parks, so I was very excited. But this is specifically downtown. In the rest of the city, we still have our urban tree canopy program that's available to neighborhoods.
Absolutely. This would be funded by the same grant program that is serving the other neighborhoods as well.
Yeah, I think absolutely want to support expanding the tree canopy program. How does this work with, I guess, the allocation of resources? If it's coming from the same program that's funding other neighborhoods, is it drawing resources away from our other neighborhoods then to focus on downtown?
No, it would not. The element that would be an added value over some of the other neighborhoods is that partnership with DSP.
And one of the things that's important to remember is Riverside is a neighborhood, right? We have lots of
It is.
people who live downtown, and so it's not as if downtown is only a commercial district and we're taking things away from residents. Residents here will now be able to take part in a project that was not previously available to them because we treated downtown differently. So now this extends that residential program downtown,
Yes.
which is good. There is also an accompanying state ask that will have a resolution coming forward for when we're talking about our ask to the state. Our downtown water system, as you mentioned, is bifurcated. We have some public and some private, and it's kind of difficult to know whose responsibility is whose. And so the ask would be that we could get some money from the state to map out the entire system, because my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that our current map of it was drawn for Expo 74. It's a hand-drawn map that we still look at, and so this would help us get it into our GIS system and help us avoid some of the maintenance problems that we've had in the past, that people have planted trees and then nobody ever watered them and they died. And so the idea is to not have to keep coming back and readdressing this problem.
Yes, absolutely. That would be a critical information piece that we're lacking right now.
Yeah. Wonderful. Any other questions on this? Okay, lastly, I do just want to say thank you, Angel, Garrett, Katie, team, everybody. We've been talking about this for at least a year, and I'm glad that we finally found something that was really good. Chris, thank you for helping draft the resolution, and I'm pumped about this program. I think it's going to be great for the entire city overall, but especially for the folks who live downtown. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, next up, Eldon. Bing, bang, boom. We got a few for you, buddy.
Not really as bad as you might think. Good afternoon. Items 6, 7, and 9 are to do with the actual easement releases for Gonzaga. So what we have on the maps there is previously, several years ago, we vacated Boone from Astor to just east of Dakota. And then we also vacated Dakota south to Boone. On there, we reserved easements basically for the full width of those right-of-ways. So all we're trying to do now is we had 3 ordinances that actually did that, and we're just trying to amend the ordinances specifically on Boone to reduce 17.5 feet on each side to reduce the easement width down for further expansion of Gonzaga's campus in there. And so we've got 3 items on the docket that deal with that issue. I think it's 17.5 feet on each side is what they want to reduce it. I'll have to check before we actually take action to see if that was a 100-foot right-of-way, which I think it might be on there. But anyway, that's the gist of what's going on in those particular items. We did get concurrence from all the utility purveyors to do it, so.
And who is Gonzaga the property owner of all this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So 100-foot right-of-way, is it 17.5 feet on both sides?
On each side, yes.
Okay. So what does that do for our traffic in that area?
Basically, what we have to do is just look at those streets on there. I don't think we have anything on that stretch. That's
Yeah.
on private property at this
Okay.
point in time. So we were just reserving easements for utilities
Okay.
primarily. So right now, they want to expand, I think, probably parking and various things on there that we need to release those easements to actually do some of that. So the area in blue is totally all we're trying to retain. The one you see on Dakota on there, that's crosshatched on there, we're going to keep that easement on there. They're not releasing that one. Only in the area where it crosses into Boone, where you come down Dakota, is the area that we're releasing. So,
Okay, so the dark blue is what we're retaining, the crosshash blue is what we're giving up? Is that what you just said?
yes.
Okay.
And
All right.
then the one in Dakota, which is crosshatched, is
Yeah.
an existing easement we're keeping.
Okay.
The only reason we showed it's confusing, I was looking at it too, but where that crosshatched area on Dakota comes down into Boone, we did have to actually keep the easement on the outside of the Boone, outside of the blue. That one kind of encroaches into that Boone area easement. So it's a little bit confusing, and I'll try to make it a little clearer when we actually take action on it. But long story short, blue is the only thing we're retaining. We're releasing easements, and we did get concurrence from Lumen, Avista, and the city to actually do that.
Wonderful. And Nevada would be on the right side of that map, right?
Pardon me?
Nevada would be on the right side of that map?
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. Or Hamilton there, I guess. Anybody, any other questions? All right, how many did we knock out right there, Eldon?
3 of them.
3 of them, all right.
That was 6, 8, and 9 is what we released.
Perfect.
So in Trinity, that's the next one on there for Trinity School. On there, just a couple items on that one for background. We did have 100% of the property owners. I think the school owns 3/4 of that, and there is one property owner on the northwest corner of Montgomery and Cedar that actually is a private property owner. Everybody did sign the petition on this. It's 100% signature to it. Let me get maps here. We are reserving the actual alley that goes between it. We're not trying to vacate that. It has a sewer through it. So we do want to reserve that actual right-of-way that cuts through the middle. What they're trying to do on the site plan, what was shown to us, is I think the school would like to put a playground in the right-of-way on the north side of that alley, and then actually have a parking lot on the south side of that, is what they'd like to convert that to. There is you can kind of see it right below Montgomery on there. There's a little traffic circle down there today that actually throttles traffic going through that intersection. As you go further to the south of that, if you can go down to Northwest Boulevard, today on that corner there, that looks like just a driveway access. I think we did that years ago when we were working on Northwest Boulevard to really minimize the potential to really make that look like a thoroughfare going through there because of the school. So anyway, it doesn't look like a regular curb return for a street. It's more like an alley access to it. But long story short, from the staff end, we found that one difficult to support just because we're taking the actual thoroughfare nature of that traffic out of this thing, either for both pedestrians, bike, and traffic on there. But we did come up with recommendations on this thing. If the council does see fit to actually vacate it on there, we'd certainly have to work on how you would close off those access points at each end of it to actually turn it into like driveway scenarios. One of the things that did come across in our staff reports is if people were actually able to promote pedestrian and bicycle access through it, it might be more amenable to actually public access through that actual complex of the playground and the parking lot. You might be able to make that more tenable. But anyway, that was the primary concerns that came up to that actual vacation. Yeah.
Would this be a no-cost vacation?
No, we
Any
did have the
question?
cost down there, and that was, looks like $115,000 is what we tabulated on that one. We just got conditions on there. If the council does see fit to vacate it, we certainly got some conditions down there to actually, that would go along with the vacation. But we found that one hard to support from a staff end just because it takes links out of this thing for both, in both directions, really.
If this were a public school, would it be a no-cost vacation?
On the schools, we come to you to actually typically recommend that you pay for them.
Okay.
And there, that's kind of your decision if you decide not to on there, but we primarily treat all of these pretty much the same.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. At your discretion, Mr. Brown, just keep going.
The third one, is for the tribal project, which is out there between Elm and Oak, and from Cinto to Maxwell, we have an alley in there that is proposed to be vacated. The project would like to vacate the east 250 feet of that alley. The reason we're not fully looking at the full alley is that area right at the southeast corner of Elm and the alley on there is a cell tower site that actually has access to the alley on that thing, and so we weren't going to actually try to vacate that last little piece of it there where they have access to the cell tower. We do have a 30-inch clay tile sewer that runs down that alley. That certainly was an area of concern to everybody. And what the wastewater department would like to see if this one is vacated is that we actually add another 14 feet. That's a 16-foot wide alley. We'd want 14 more feet added to that for an easement to actually be able to maintain that 30-inch sewer. Typically, they would not recommend vacating with a line that large, but if the properties are willing to actually work with us as far as widening that out for a sewer easement on there, it made some sense to actually look at that. There again, you can kind of see the alley access to the west has actually already been vacated. But if you go east one block, there is one more east of, or one more actual thoroughfare going east for one more block. So it's not like you're totally taking the link out of a continuous area on each side. But we did look at that there again from the connectivity for vehicles when you take that out of the mix. But anyway, those were some of the issues that popped up with that one.
On that one, can you just give us, when it actually comes to us, the update on the sewer access and the ways that that's going to work with Public Works? Okay.
Yeah, we actually have a bunch of conditions I can go through on that thing. Primarily what wastewater is wanting 24/7 access to it, or if it's gated, you would get in there. They want to be able to, if people put parking lots, things of that nature over the top of it, they would want to make sure that the property owner would be responsible to replace certain things there. We would actually do the dig in and replace the sewer, but when you brought it back up to the surface improvements, they should be put back by the property owners. That would be part of the recommended conditions that we would have to that.
Yeah, I think that's great. I just want to make sure that we don't lose, obviously, our ability to get to our pipes when necessary, and don't want to have to be replacing a bunch of private property if that time comes. If we can get that on the front end, and it sounds like you guys have. That's awesome.
And I can certainly give you a more detailed list of the items when it comes to that on the recommended conditions.
I may just pop on down and say hi, and you can run me through it. So,
yeah, no, it's got lots of stuff to it, and we had a lot of conversation with the wastewater to try to come up with something to recommend that one.
Okay.
Normally, they would not like to do that when you're over the top of a sewer.
Right.
But they tried to play ball with this thing and see what could be done that would actually help them out. Because today they would have to maintain that thing in that 16-foot wide alley.
Yeah.
And having the 30 on there, adding another 14 feet to it is a big deal to them.
Yeah, and I'm no engineer, but a clay tile sewers does not sound modern to me, and so it feels like we might need to be addressing that one soon. So,
well, that's a concern is you break that at all on there, that stuff just wants to break. So we want to stay away from it as much as possible on here. So
wonderful.
But anyway, that was wastewater had a lot of issues with that, but they were playing ball with it. So
good. All right.
Any other questions on that one? That's really all the 7 items that were on there. So.
Was it?
Yes.
All right. Well done, Eldon. I think that's good. If no more questions, then we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Eldon. All right. One that we've already heard a little bit about, but Tim Thompson, do you want to come on down? We've got our Development Code Assessment and Modernization Project.
All right, thank you, and good afternoon, council members. Tim Thompson, Operations Manager for Community Economic Development for the record. Here just to talk briefly today about a proposed code overhaul and assessment for the city's development code. As we all know, we're knee deep in the periodic update, and as a result of that, we are likely going to see some changes to our code. A lot of discussion around changing centers and corridors to mixed-use districts, things like that. So we thought this was a good opportunity for us to really take a fresh look at our code. It hasn't been completely updated for probably 2 decades or so, and so that's what this is. That's what this is about. We are currently in the procurement process. We have a draft RFP that is being reviewed internally. We're hoping to get that issued within the coming weeks. Ideally, we'll have 4 to 6 weeks for potential firms to submit proposals to the city, and then we're going to want to try to select a consultant quickly and get that turned around, hopefully towards the end of September with a contract and likely an SBO as well. And the reason is we're going to be really on a short time frame here. I think generally in the past, once the comp plan is updated, we've had 6 months to get our code up to date and consistent with the comp plan. We don't necessarily have that in this particular instance. When the state passed the legislation recently, the changes were not, the mandated code changes were not extended 6 months either. So we're really trying to do this in tandem with the periodic update. So the time frame is short, and in this case, the longer this procurement process takes, the more expensive I think this contract will likely be. So time is of the essence with this particular item. Again, just a little background. We've updated the code many times over the years, but we've never done a complete overhaul for the last 20 or so years. Again, we're wanting to do this to support the comprehensive plan as well as some other initiatives. Why is this important? Reduces uncertainty, helps to streamline the permitting process, and we do that by making the code more predictable and more clear. I've observed our staff spending a lot of time trying to navigate and interpret code, and that's just wasted time, frankly. I mean, that's time that could be spent approving permits and getting them out the door. Lowers development costs, supports informed decisions. So, we want to be able to have developers and our citizens be able to make good decisions. And so having a good code and being able to interpret that and talk about that will allow folks to make more informed decisions. We believe that a better code will also encourage more investment. Again, we've got folks that have come in, they want to operate their business in an existing building, and the outcome of that are a series of requirements that just makes it too difficult for folks to move forward in the process. And so we want to take a hard look at those nonconformity situations and how we handle those particular items. And really what that speaks to is promoting economic development. And that's, I think, really what we're trying to do. Primary objectives of the code assessment and the update, again, modernize the city's development code regulations, focusing on removing those barriers to development, improve clarity and usability, streamline the permitting process and service delivery. Of course, through that process, we'll engage stakeholders, and then we'll ask the consultant to provide some support and some ongoing improvements. So a contract will likely last through 2027. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but you'll be seeing this again in short order. Hopefully in September, we'll be back with a contract and an SBO.
Funding for the contract, where is that coming from?
So we have identified enterprise fund reserves to be used for the contract. We're trying to not talk about cost at this point because we have an RFP out, and that will, part of that process will be to propose a cost.
Thank you for that clarity. The sheet only said reserves, and I didn't know which reserves you were talking about.
Yeah, it'll be the Development Services Enterprise Reserve Fund.
Okay.
Thanks for including considerations about building reuse. I visit a lot of quaint little towns across Washington, Idaho, and Oregon, and some of these buildings that I visit with charming shops and restaurants, I think would not be allowed in Spokane in their current state. And if it's not unsafe, sometimes I wonder why we don't just let that happen with an eye to historic preservation and character, and also just simple economics. It is very expensive to renovate a building here, so anything that we can do to make that a little easier and still be safe, I think would be great.
I appreciate this. I have a question for you on inspections. One of the things I hear from developers regularly is inspections and inspectors can be very subjective, very different from one to the next. Does this help us with that problem to clean up any language and make it less subjective or less arbitrary?
maybe when we talk about zoning type inspections, that might be the case. If we're talking specifically about building code inspections, I don't know that this will materially affect that. I will say that our building department staff have done an outstanding job providing training for those inspectors, and we're actually seeing that gap close a little bit. We're hearing actually some very positive feedback about that hit or miss that I think you're speaking of, that gap is closing, and the inspectors are actually being more consistent now that we've got some training happening. So we've got a lot of good things going on in the department.
Good. Anybody else? Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Heather Page, the 2025 Affordable Housing Development and Tenant-Based Rental Assistance.
It should be that top one. Okay, so I have several items here. I'm going to jump ahead in the slideshow and just focus on the funding recommendations for right now, and then we'll come back to this update. But you get a little preview. Okay, so in March, early March, we opened up the 2025 funding round for 1590 Affordable Housing Development Funds, 1406 Affordable Housing Development Funds, home funds, and then we had $500,000 in home ARP tenant-based rental assistance funds that we put out to RFP. We had the RFP open for 60 days to allow the community enough time to respond to the request for proposals. Technical assistance is now a requirement of most of our affordable housing funding rounds, and we did a lot of technical assistance. The good thing about doing the technical assistance is the applications are very, very good by the time that they submit them. And so what you see is much more thought out and developed than what maybe we saw in the past. We had 11 eligible applications submitted. Actually, all of the applications submitted for funding were eligible. 2 of those applications were for tenant-based rental assistance. 1 of them was for home ownership, and the 2 of them were for rehabilitation leading to new units, and then the rest of them were for new construction. It was very competitive. This was our timeline, and we did and are on track to follow it all of the way through. We hope to have the applicants notified of funding decisions in a formal email by that August 1st deadline so that anybody that's applying for the Housing Trust Fund can submit our support letter with their applications, and it makes their applications to Housing Trust Fund more competitive. These were the amounts of the funding that we had available in this funding round. The highlighted number is the only money that was not awarded. And that's because it has to go to a certified housing development organization. We do have one certified housing development organization in Spokane, but they chose not to apply in this round. And the amount that was available for a certified housing organization was relatively small. We do see more applications as that amount increases. It doesn't go away, it continues to build over time. Yes. The scoring criteria included conceptual soundness, financial feasibility, organizational capacity, project readiness. All of this was publicly posted on the website. It was in the scoring criteria that we've published so that the applicants knew exactly what they were being scored on from the very beginning of their application. It was discussed in the technical assistance calls, and it was built into the actual written RFP. Because it was a competitive round, the Affordable Housing Committee then further considered funding distribution across project types. They wanted to make sure that there was a distribution across the different types of projects that came in through the application process. funding restrictions of the funding sources. So this did apply if a particular project was not going to serve a particular AMI, then they may have needed to be considered for a different type of funding source. I'll use homeownership as an example. They specifically applied for 1406 with an 80% AMI, and that was allowable under 1406, but not allowable under the other funding sources. And then source of leverage funds, we wanted to make sure that the leverage funds weren't all coming from the city of Spokane through different funding rounds, so that was a consideration. And then the vulnerability of the population served by a project was also considered. So the home ARP TBRA applications, the top scoring one was Mia's Safe Harbor project. It was fully funded, their request for $224,000. And I tried to include a spreadsheet that had all of the information that you typically ask for, including the unit counts and everything like that. It would not print out for this or this meeting, but I did upload that spreadsheet to the shared drive, if you all want to take a look at that to get some of those answers for you. The Family Promise of Spokane was funded at a little over half of their request. And I will say that the committee fully funded the top scoring new construction projects. It was new construction rehabilitation were considered in the same funding pool. They fully funded the top scoring one. 2 of those projects, they fully funded the home ownership project, and they fully funded the top scoring TBRA project. The home ownership, we had one come in. The Affordable Housing Committee is well aware that this is a community priority. They did a very thorough review of it. They felt that it was a solid project, that given the amount of money home ownership projects typically cost, this one seemed cost effective. It was cost effective in that the organization, it's a public-private partnership, is able to share costs with another multifamily development that they put in for different funding sources in the same funding round. Without the ability to share those costs, that home ownership project would not pencil out. The new construction Proclaim Liberty's project, it's the Bethany redevelopment project. This is one where they are demolishing a burned out building and they're replacing it with some affordable housing and also a community center slash space where the church can lease the property to also meet as a congregation. That request was fully funded. This was their last gap funding, essentially, besides the application they'll put into Housing Trust Fund. VOA's crosswalk was funded for the final build out of their living units on the second floor for youth and young adults. The Threshold project is, again, that public-private partnership. It's the multifamily piece of that multifamily and home ownership project. It is not just affordable housing. It also includes some market rate units in there, and it's 30/50 in market rate. So we wanted to really look at that mixed income scenario that we're seeing be a little bit more sustainable over time.
Heather, could I ask you just more clarity on the VOA? When you said their crosswalk, is this a location downtown or the new building they have out by the community college?
It's the new building.
It's the new building, okay.
Yep. I think they call it Crosswalk 2.0. I should have added that 2.0. Sorry about that. And then the MIA Affordable Housing Program, it was not fully funded for their ask. Most of these are partial funding outside of the Bethany and the Collins building. It was not fully funded. Most of these that were lower scoring, they were lower scoring because they're quite a ways away from actually breaking ground. That is something that was a scored item, and it was a scored item because the SMC does identify that that project readiness is important. So I do want to just say that these were great projects all the way around, even while partially funded. They're just not as close to breaking ground or just not as close to leasing up as some of the higher scoring projects. The Collins Building, this is pretty exciting development, actually, because they were able to take a building that wasn't being used for affordable housing a long time ago. It had been. It fell into disrepair. They were able to go in as, again, a public-private partnership. They rehabbed that building to include independent units, so they're not like it used to be an SRO where they were sharing some bathroom facilities and things like that. Now every unit has its own. They also have community space on the bottom that will be leased as office space to Career Path Services. It's a workforce type project in which some of the folks that are housed in the project are actually working with Career Path Services and with the organization that owns the Collins Building in a job capacity.
Heather, on that, who owned the Collins Building when it fell into disrepair?
SNAP owned it when it fell into disrepair, is my understanding. I'm just going off document reviews, though.
Okay, thank you.
Just wondering, so I'm estimating about 8.5 million, if I'm adding that up right. Maybe a little under that. But for that amount of money, how many new units are we getting? And do we know, based on the overall project costs, what the price per unit is for these projects that we're investing in?
Yes, so anything that you've asked me in the past is in that giant spreadsheet I couldn't attach to this presentation, and I did upload it to the shared drive.
Great.
So there's the, not just the per unit affordable, like the per affordable unit cost and things like that, but also in general.
Great.
Because one of the things we're trying to do is look at how we're contributing to the affordable housing inventory and the overall housing inventory with our investments in these projects. And sometimes just looking at that affordable housing component is not giving a broad enough picture. And I can answer a few of your questions that you have just here, though. 95 new construction units created. 63 are going to be designated as affordable housing out of all of the new construction projects. 50 units were preserved through rehabilitation. And granted, so the Centerstone, or it's not Centerstone. Cornerstone, sorry. I have a Centerstone and a Cornerstone. I get them mixed up sometimes. The Cornerstone project is preserving units for affordable housing by going in and doing some major systems repairs, but then they're also increasing the overall units by 7 by decreasing the bedroom size of some hard-to-rent 3 bedrooms that they had in their facility. All of the rehab preserved and the new units through rehab will be affordable housing. And then the 12 new townhomes for ownership, only 6 of those are affordable. But again, they're doing a really good job of managing that money in that affordable home ownership program, and they do need to offset the costs of that with the market rate units.
Yeah, I love that. I'm excited for that. Of the 6 that are low-income home buyers, are those deed restricted, or is it just their price point is going to be lower because they got this funding?
There will be some deed restriction because most of them will probably be qualifying for down payment assistance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So of this right here, so I'm trying to think of a way to say this without sounding angry or rude. The 49 new units created through rehabilitation is really taking 49 units that had fallen into disrepair and making them usable again, correct?
It's not just making them usable, it's also creating a different standard for them. It's that while it is appropriate in some cases to have all of the shared bathroom and shared kitchen facilities and things like that, it's probably more desirable to have your own sanitary facilities within a unit.
Without a doubt, but they wouldn't have qualified for the project if they were not in the state they were in?
Correct.
Okay. And then the 50 units that were preserved, what's the difference there between it was just uninhabitable and so we're going to make them habitable again, and the ones that were preserved through rehabilitation? What's that threshold?
What do you mean, the threshold?
What's the difference between this one, nobody should ever live in these, and so we're going to save those 49 units, versus the ones that were preserved, where it was like, it was pretty bad, almost uninhabitable, but...
So they're inhabitable. Those units are inhabitable, but they're
So
reaching lifestyle.
those 99 units.
No, the 50 units preserved through rehabilitation that are part of the Cornerstone.
Okay.
They're inhabitable. There are people living in them.
Okay.
The issue is the costs of maintaining them because of system degradation is to the point that something has to happen or they may not at some point be inhabitable.
Right.
Yeah, so there's some plumbing problems, there's like major system problems.
Yes. So who's the operator of the or not the Collins, but the Cornerstone?
So that is Spokane Housing Authority on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is part of their overall portfolio to increase the condition or improve the condition of properties that they have in their portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So you're saying that units that are currently owned and operated by SNAP and Spokane Housing Ventures are some of the units that we're investing in?
Spokane
Correct.
Housing Authority,
Sorry, Spokane Housing
Yeah.
Authority?
yes.
Okay.
Well, so SNAP doesn't own that Collins building, hasn't for a number of years.
But they were the operator at the time when it fell into disrepair, but they've no longer been the operator? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they haven't been the operator for a number of years.
Okay. Who
Correct.
has been the operator?
It's a private partnership, and it's Steve and Teresa, yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And it's a great program. Like, the committee very much loved what they were doing.
Well, in particular with the Spokane Housing, how do we know that they're not going to fall back into disrepair or that they're going to manage them in a way that keeps them at the standards?
So this is part of what I believe everybody in the community is learning about having all of your units be 30 and 50% AMI. You are never going to recoup enough of the funds that you need to sustain those units over time without additional investment. That is why we have been working towards looking at that mixed income composition of households in projects in the last several funding rounds. That's the only way you're ever going to guarantee that they have the sustainability to not come back for continued investment over time.
Well, and tonight we're going to debate, changing our MFTE to eliminate what could be a revenue stream to do just that. And so that's definitely a concern of mine.
Yeah, I do really like the Collins project. I got to tour it, and the thing that's going to be great about that is that a lot of the people who are going to be living there do work for the operator, and so they're going to have that income trying to step out of homelessness, and so I like that project a lot. And the reason why I was asking those questions wasn't for any other purpose other than this has been a real heartburn for me that we have these units that are falling into disrepair, and then people come to the city and say, okay, well, unless you give us $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever it is, then 50 people are going to be out of the streets. And that is a real systemic problem that we have in the city of Spokane. And I've sent some emails recently after a productive meeting that we had with Catholic Charities and Jonathan Mallahan last week on things that we could do to address that. And so we'll be having more conversations, I'm sure, in the future about that. But
And I think when we have the conversations about prioritization of where the 1590 money is spent in the future and those investments, I think that's also going to be a really good place for that conversation as well. Can I go to the next item? Okay. So I'm going to go back a little bit. And we're going to talk about some of the decisions that were made previously regarding the 1590 funds. And I have a few little pictures there you'll see. So 2022 to 2023, remember we didn't have a lot of RFP go out for 1590, 1406 during that time period, so there weren't a lot of projects to actually be able to brief you on. And then also don't forget, affordable housing development projects have up to 24 months from the date that they receive their award to commence activities. It typically takes development projects time to finish building their capital stack, to get their building permits, to get the process going. So it's not as quick of a turnaround time as some of the other projects that we're able to manage out of CHHS. Affordable housing is always going to be just a little bit slower. So Liberty Park expansion and Haifumi Inn were the two that we have on the books from that time period. And I say they're on the books, but most of them, they're very close to being finished. So with Haifumi Inn, we have $1,000 of that investment left to pay them out. We'll pay them out that $1,000 when they send us in the lease-up and occupancy information at the end of the construction period. So remember, this was phased. It had phase 1, phase 2. The phase 1 was building the new building, being able to move the current tenants into that new building while they demolished the old building, built the second building, and then they'll be able to add like an additional, I think it was like 42 Yes, thank you, 48 households. So they have completed phase one. They've been able to move the tenants from the old building into new units, and they have started the phase two, which is in progress. There is abatement of asbestos, so that always takes a little bit of time, demolition, and then they anticipate leasing that up June 2026. And they're moving right along, and I have pictures to prove it. So there's that new building that you can see on the left-hand side, the entrance into it, and then that unit on the right-hand side is an example of one of the accessible kitchens that they have. Yeah, it is. It's so cool when you get to see these completed.
I will say the Haifumi Inn was the beginning of my frustration that I just expressed, because
Yeah.
half of them were demolish and rebuild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Liberty Park expansion is new construction. This contract, boy, it's been around 2022, and it'll be around for a while, 2042. $4 million in 1590 funds. They have spent it all. They are in the middle of final landscaping, and they're accepting applications and beginning lease-up process. They did have an a grand opening June 13th. I don't know if anybody had a chance to be there, but I got to tour some of those units, and they're beautiful. They're just beautiful. So that's on the left, a picture of one of the finished buildings. This is a multi-building project as well, and then again, a unit for handicapped accessible for the kitchen. Okay, then we'll move on to what was awarded last summer. And so I'm going to start with the housing-related services projects. We had YWCA's service project for DV survivors, and that award was $428,677. The contracts, you'll notice, the project started while awarded, I believe, in September. Maybe they came through you all. Some of the contracts took some time to put into place because we had to get their reporting, the way that they report back on those required populations from the RCW. We had to get that reporting process in place for the different organizations. Now, they serve these populations, they just weren't gathering the information that we actually needed them to be gathering in the way that we needed them to be gathering it. So we did work through some of those process issues with them. And so that's why some of these numbers are a little bit low. It does have to do with the timing of the contracts, but all of them are operational. All of them are serving beneficiaries. The affordable housing development projects are in different states. So St. John's 2, the 315 West 9th Senior, which is new construction, they are continuing to build their capital stack. They are very close to having it completed. We have their legal documents in process, and as soon as we have a better idea of their overall capital stack, we'll be able to finalize. I say finalize. We'll be able to create the final draft that we send to them to put through their legal reviews. Spokane Townhomes LLC, that South Crystal Ridge project, they have all their legal documents signed, filed, recorded. They're just waiting on building permits. Habitat for Humanity's home ownership project, the recoverable grant documents were sent to Habitat a couple of weeks ago, and they're currently in review on Habitat's end. Excelsior Wellness, again, new construction, they have their legal documents and have had them for several weeks. They're in review, and they'll approve them as they're going through their underwriting process with the rest of their funders. The Centerstone Unlimited, they have their legal documents, they're signed, filed, recorded, and their permits are in progress. And then Community Frameworks, the Hoffman Apartments, they continue to build their capital stack, their legal documents, they have their copies, they're under review with them. We're just waiting for them to give us the go light for their legal doc, or to process their legal docs. That's where we're at with what you all funded last, or approved for funding last year. Any questions on those? Okay. Patience with the affordable housing development. It takes time for those developers to be able to pull everything together and to actually break ground. That's why it's even more exciting when we see it done. Okay. I have one last item. Is it okay if I jump into it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. It's a HUD certified housing counseling item. This was kind of an emergency RFP in that federal funding for the HUD-certified housing counseling programs was being cut or decreased significantly. Those programs are very, very useful in preventing foreclosures, and I put the documents in there, or the general number of foreclosures prevented by all of the folks that do this counseling at 700 foreclosures per last year. SNAP itself, in their program, I think they prevented 419, is that right? No, 362 themselves of foreclosures. They also do like first-time homebuyer education programs, and the data in there for what SNAP was able to serve through their certified housing counseling program last year is in there. It makes a difference for those first-time homebuyers, especially those that maybe are coming into one of these home ownership programs at 80% or less AMI to be able to do one of these classes. Some programs require it, or they're not eligible for the down payment assistance. So that's where you're seeing that urgency, is the community with the potential for foreclosures and where we want to go with single-family home ownership really can't afford to have that HUD-certified housing counseling program disappear. Not very many people qualify as organizations for it. If you look at HUD's website, they only have 2 organizations in Spokane that are certified to be housing counselors. However, looking at other websites and listening to our colleagues in organizations, we did broaden the RFP and send it out to folks that indicated that they did the counseling. So we did put out a little bit of a wider net than just the 2 that HUD had certified. SNAP was the only one that applied. SNAP has been doing this particular program for a while. They have a track record of success. They report the data as per HUD. We have no indication of poor performance on their part for these contracts. In fact, they score very highly in the ones that we have funded with them before for the certified housing counseling and the down payment assistance. And so the committee saw that. They recommended them for funding after a robust conversation, because nobody wants to just fund something because it's the only one without having that conversation, for the full ask of $160,000, and once approved, we go to contract. Questions on this? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Heather. Okay, next up, Luis. An ordinance amending chapter 0802.
Yeah, this is going to be not as fun as that last one.
Not as fun? What?
Not as fun. Yeah, so a little bit ago, the SMC Section 8 was for their fee schedule. Got updated. The Development Services Center went ahead and did that. Well, when they did that, one of the strikeouts that they did actually was our obstruction fees for the parking services, and it was inadvertent. So this is just basically adding in the same fee. So it's unchanged. It's basically just adding it back into that fee schedule. Not a new fee. It existed previously. It's literally just putting it back into the fee schedule because it got omitted inadvertently previously.
It's a new fee, as in it's new units coming on. That's how I see it.
Yeah, this one, like I said, it's not as exciting. This is literally just for when projects are on the right-of-way and they're obstructing a meter.
Yeah.
That obviously that meter is not available for revenue, and parking services is operated by the revenue that it generates.
Yeah, it was previously a fee, and then it became not a fee anymore, and now it'll be a fee again.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go. Sir?
But this isn't somehow creating an opportunity for folks to pay to let their criminal RV sit where it's not supposed to be?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is really for projects, and it's a bona fide obstruction permit that is requested. It basically piggybacks on that. So still a DSC type fee, but we kind of piggyback with them. Like I said, not really exciting. We just needed to add it back in. Any questions?
All right, looks good. Thank you, Luis.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, and lastly, we have, Before we get into reports, Mr. McDaniel, you're here for an ordinance renaming the Housing Local Sales Trust Fund to HART and an affordable housing permit fee deferral program.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So last week, the mayor kind of rolled out a package of proposals with some stakeholders and some council members as well. And the idea is to try to spur some housing development around both the city's Home Starts Here initiative. And you heard Steve and I think Spencer on the Unified Development Code update, and we'll talk GFCs next week. The two I want to talk about here real quick are the updates to what we call the HART Fund, which is 1590, and then a permit fee deferral program. So the targeted kind of the key metrics that we're trying to address here is essentially reducing the number of Spokane residents who are housing cost burdened. And we do that by increasing the supply, building more affordable housing, more market rate housing, more home ownership opportunities. We talked a little bit, I think, about this earlier, about kind of this 22,000 number. This is not a codified goal. This is not even proposed in the ordinance as a codified goal, but it is a target. It is something to kind of help us like laser focus on trying to build more housing at all income levels. So the first ordinance I want to dive into is the update to what we call 1590. We are proposing renaming this as the HART Fund, and that's to honor some work that some community-led organization through the Spokane Alliance helped try to get this thing over the top. They've been strong advocates for this program as well. It realigns the percentage split. So right now in the code it's 75% with the remaining going to services, 75% being for capital. This realigns it with state law to be 60%. Importantly, it's written at minimum, so it doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be 75%, it doesn't have to be 60%. 60% is the floor. The other thing it does is that it brings council in earlier in the prioritization process. So the way it is written right now is that every February, the council would adopt a resolution that outlines those funding priorities. CHHS would do a NOFO for the construction by May 1st, and then the services side on June 1st. It updates the administration, or the administrative fee, and that's to align with our other housing programs at the city. And then finally, it removes the sunset provision that was not a part of the state law when originally adopted. So that's the first one. I can go into the second one, or we can take questions on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously stated a lot of my concerns earlier, but just a couple things. I mean, it's a little frustrating. I mean, to me, we just had this big debate last year with the public safety levy on how easily we feared a sunset clause could simply be revoked, and here we are doing exactly that on another tax policy, which I think kind of backs up our argument that, you know, there needs to be some real protections in place, but at a minimum, if there aren't, you know, the sunsets are important and they shouldn't be removed. Obviously, if we were to have a big visionary effort that would require a 20-year bonding runway, we could have that discussion of extending it, but to eliminate it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But also, it's not in the briefing paper that we're eliminating that sunset. It's not in the briefing paper, the different priorities that we're eliminating. And so I just want to make sure that we're very clear, because the way this is drafted, it also makes it hard to follow because you're creating new sections, eliminating other sections, and it makes it very hard to see exactly what's being eliminated, what's being added, and what's being changed, and how it's going to affect the process. I do appreciate that an ordinance or ordinances are coming forward to at least align what is in the code with how we are, the process we're following, because I do not believe that we've actually abided by the code in the last round. So I appreciate that there's an effort to do that, but you know, reducing it to 60%, obviously we can be more restrictive, so we could keep it at 75. But I also think that the goal here was capital. I mean, that was the goal, was capital at the beginning of this thing. Now, I'm fully aware I did not support 1590, but I have been a staunch defender of its intended purpose against the previous administration who wanted to use it for services, and I did not agree with that at that time, and I don't agree now with, the significant change, particularly when I don't believe that we're following a lot of the data that we should be in how we do that. So I'd love to just maybe understand what are those services specifically that you envision we would be funding at potentially 40% out of this fund.
I think it would be the same type of services that Heather just brought forward and briefed you guys on.
So just an expansion of those?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I mean.
Or behavioral health, or substance abuse.
Well, and so behavioral health, to me, and I think both of us have commented on how, maybe it's time, in particular with the problems we have on the streets with drugs and mental health, that maybe we think about a different trajectory. Now, I've defended the intended purpose, which is housing, every step of the way, but allowable use is behavioral health. And I would be absolutely open to, again, that 20-year bonding runway to do something huge, transformative, substantial, bold, different than we've just done every step of the way. And so would love to see more of a big vision there as to what this would look like. And so I just worry that, again, these are limited dollars. It's the only pot of money that you can use, really, truly, other than 1406, for ownership opportunities, and we're going to start whittling it away in some of these other areas that are harder to follow, harder to track, harder to know that we're getting an ROI, and away from capital that we can actually track and see the ROI.
The ordinance that we're bringing forward, I think, gives us the flexibility to do some of that larger visioning. So I accept your comments on that.
So I hear Councilman Cathcart. I think I would like a little bit more specificity on the services categories, because it is so broad. And I know the concern is they'll just all go to homelessness. That's what people think off the top of their heads, like, oh, it's just to fund homeless services. That's just another kind of backdoor in. But whether it's mental health, we had a conversation about a navigator for this program, and housing, what would that look like, especially for the nonprofits or building contractors to help get through this type of thing. And also, I have to call it out. It does say HEART. It is not a trust. I know it sounds good, but it's a tax. I just want to get it out there. I don't care how we package it. It's still $15.90, and it is a tax on the citizens. And that sunset clause probably does need more of a discussion. And when do we? It's good to say we're going to bond it, but I guess we would need a little bit more as to when we anticipate what that looks like going forward. So that's what I thought there. Give me some categories. I think that'd be helpful.
Councilwoman Klitsky, did you have some thoughts?
I'm just writing down my thoughts. I wasn't
Sorry,
going to say
I saw a
them,
hand
but
over here.
I do have concerns. If we want to be able to bond, it's pretty hard to work with a sunset. So I think we need to reconcile, do we have a long-term vision or not? Do we think we're going to suddenly solve all of these issues and not need this fund anymore? I don't think so, and I think the community strongly supports us doing something about it. So that's something we have to figure out.
Yeah. I think this current sunset's 2040.
It's just coming up. I've worked on these 20-year plans so many times, and I'm like, good grief, I am getting old. My plan has expired.
As a person who has their 20-year reunion this weekend, yeah, it comes at you fast. But so, yeah, I think my biggest problem with it, I think, the name is, again, as Council President said, might be a little misleading or trust as opposed to the tax, what it is. I think the sunset is a continued frustration when we say that that there's a sunset, and we all know it's a fake sunset, and we say it's a fake sunset, and then the sunset gets overridden without much community conversation. On that, I think that becomes a problem. What I would like to see on that is, a community conversation and potentially an advisory vote to the people on, do you want this to sunset, or do you want it to extend permanently? Because either way, what the people say there, I think we should do. And so if they want the sunset to go away, great, remove the sunset. If they want to keep it, then I think that's something that we should do. So particularly on tax measures, I think that the general public should always be having their voice heard on that. Yeah, after that, do you want to move into the next one, or yeah?
This is a pretty simple program that we've worked on with Tammy and Spencer. And what this would do would allow affordable housing projects to basically defer up to $150,000 in their either building permit or street obstruction permits to basically certificate of occupancy. So the programs obviously would be the MFTE program, 1406, Heart Fund, Parking to People, and commercial conversion. The way the city would basically reduce its risk is by being able to place a lien on that property to ensure that those fees are paid.
Yeah, and again, on this, this has been an idea that's been discussed since the infill task force back in 16, which would apply to, everybody, or at least be open to everybody. You might have a filtered process to identify who would be a part of it. There's been a lot of talk, or there's been talk in the past of sort of a Gold Star program, previous plan director referred to it that way, which would, developers, contractors who have a lot of experience and have a positive track record could kind of move through the process a lot quicker. Just different things that would actually benefit the entirety of the industry. And I totally get expediting things. I mean, I think I want everything expedited. My maybe request would be, and maybe this is on the next slide, I guess, but in terms of speeding up their process through permitting and some of those more specific kind of expeditious things that we're going to do for affordable housing, I think it might make sense to use a little bit of the 1590 to hire a planner / maybe navigator that would help to shepherd that through. And I say that just to make sure that we're not detracting from everybody else, that's in the system. And so if we're going to take resources away from the broader industry to devote it to this, that means that there's a chance that anyway that things are going to slow down for everybody else outside of the affordable housing.
I don't think that's the intent of the program.
I'm sure that's not the intent. I worry that might be the outcome.
And I don't think that that Tammy or Steve or Spencer would be the one support moving forward with a program like this if it was going to have impacts down the road on other.
Well, I just want to make sure,
permitting
because we've been talking for a long time about trying to speed it up in general, just across the board, and again, previous administration, but the goal was 2 weeks to permit. And I would love to see a renewed effort to get to that across the board. And I just don't want to see us taking away resources for this. But I think there's an opportunity to still help expedite by maybe using the 1590 or some other resource to pay for that planner who could do the work to get them through permitting. So anyway, just an idea to put out there. The point I'm trying to make is if we're going to help expedite it, great, but let's not detract from others to do it.
I just think I'd ask Steve, we didn't ask Steve about capacity and planning. I don't know if they're fully staffed, where they're at. That would just be something that they could bring back to us next month.
Okay. Turns out they're here.
I can comment on the capacity issue. Into the ordinance, we've written in that there is the ability to limit based on capacity. So I do want to make really clear, the ordinance that's proposed is not looking to change timelines anywhere. That's certainly something we're looking at, and I think Steve's presentation earlier talked about some of the efforts that we're undertaking to try to speed up timelines. This ordinance in particular is only about the time that money changes hands. So there are some additional requirements there because we're looking at placing liens, and it does require some tracking. And that's why we've written this with an express limit that we can place to make sure that it's not diverting resources from other development projects. As we get more comfortable with it and we can kind of develop some processes around it, we would certainly be interested in expanding it. But we have to keep that scope pretty small right now, precisely because we don't want to impact our other permits. Tammy's not here, so she could speak specifically to the staff issues, and we can come back with some of that information. But that's kind of the thinking that we've had so far.
Yeah, I guess if we could add that to Tammy's update next month on staffing for that. Okay. Any other questions? Do you have any more to this one? Okay. I have a question here. So the deferral of the payment for the CO, I think, until CO makes a ton of sense. I do hear and understand the idea of start small and then expand the program. I think there's some wisdom in that as well. I guess what I think I would have preferred is instead of limiting it to, again, the lower income housing, just saying there's a total number of projects, because, you know, the deferred payment on permits to CO would help a number of projects. And so, like the idea, again, we have been talking about it for a while. I do like the idea that we can place a lien on the property to make sure that we're not out any dollars. And so I think there's some good stuff here, and I appreciate it. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. All right, and that is it for discussion items. And now we have our initiative manager updates. So Nicolette, if you want to come on up, and then after that we'll do committee updates.
Shay, can you also open up the image that says "Hang in there"? Yeah, okay. So after nearly 4 hours and 2 back-to-back committee meetings, I'm not going to give you my slide deck. I'm just going to say hang in there. I'm a little hungry and cranky too. But I'll get an email out to you guys later today asking for some one-on-ones with you about the HART ordinance, especially because that heavily impacts the Housing Action Subcommittee that I've been leading for a number of years now. And I have a lot to say about all of that, but I'd rather leave that to our one-on-ones because it effectively kind of gets rid of the Housing Action Subcommittee or all the things that it should do without actually getting rid of it itself. So maybe it's time to think about what we want that to look like going forward. Ultimately, it's up to the council to determine how they want that to function for you guys. With respect to AWC, as Chris mentioned in the last committee meeting, we're going to be giving a presentation on that. In the meantime, I uploaded all the slide decks from AWC from all the presentations onto SharePoint, and so I'll share out that link in my email later. And then I have a bunch of these kinds of resource materials, which I'll, if they have a scanned copy, it'll be up in there. If not, it'll be in a central location for you guys all to look through. A lot of really amazing stuff comes out of that conference, including the resources, which I wanted you guys all to have access to. And yeah, so, and I was going to say, because we used to have study sessions and we don't anymore, I kind of feel like at least maybe the point in time count or a couple of these things might have come up on a study session. So I just want to put that into your head as something that you might want to think about if you really want to deep dive in, and if our one-on-ones don't give you the opportunity to get all your questions answered or you don't feel like you've gotten enough. That's always a tool you guys have in the toolbox. And just I wanted to keep that in mind. And again, since brevity is the soul of wit, so to speak, I wanted to keep this short and sweet. But please look for that email from me because I really, 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 really want to have a one-on-one with all of you guys on some of this stuff, and I'd really appreciate it if you're able to get time. I know you guys are very busy people, and so hopefully you have an opportunity to do that soon. Thanks.
All right, and then do we want to throw up our boards and commissions? And then we'll get into what we got here. Housing Action Subcommittee, I think we just heard an update there. And they'll be talking about the HART ordinances at the next one. We just heard from our Housing and Homelessness Initiative Manager and cat lover, Nicolette Ochiltree, Neighborhood Council Work Group. Going once?
It was a lot of more logistics about the work group at that time because we've just revolved into new members from the community assembly. So kind of almost orientation-like and planning for the rest of the year.
And some discussion of the District 2 appointment. That was the only real other topic.
Go ahead. Oh, I would just be curious on kind of what you guys are looking at working on the rest of the year. I guess if that kind of came up.
So I'll just say, looking at how community assembly works with council, again, you know, they've been submitting a number of resolutions that they'd like to see things happen, what the timing of that looks like, and really what's in the scope of council to do that. Also bringing their resolutions forward instead of just putting them in the packet. So everybody in the community can hear more about that. And some upcoming positions from neighborhood councils. Again, one will be presenting tonight, Grandview Thorpe, and how they still get to interact with this body going forward.
And to be honest, there was a lot of discussion about the Nevada Lidgerwood cop shop, like neighborhood council meeting situation. And then Peaceful Valley was also angry that they took the stuff and put it in the community center there. And so that took a bit of time.
Yeah. So I think that the bottom thing is communication has not been as consistent, I think, with a real process of how to get information out to everybody, how we lean in on troubleshooting some issues.
Yeah.
All right, CHHS Board.
So that was Councilmember Navarrete, and I don't believe we've had a representation on there for that. I will be stepping in on that board temporarily, at least going forward. So I'll have a report next week.
Next month, all right.
And I'll go straight into Community Assembly.
All right.
We just met last week. Amazing board. We had quite the presentation on tree canopies. They are also concerned about some federal cuts and a little bit of conversation about COPS and how that interacts, but also that Chief Hall has been consistent with sending neighborhood resource officers out to neighborhood councils. Again, we keep saying the bane of our existence is how we communicate. So, and I told him I won't be there next month because I'm on vacation.
Yeah, I guess I'd quickly say, obviously, neighborhood resource officers going to neighborhood councils is great. No replacement for cops. And the tree canopy, thankfully, we have not seen anything in a reduction of the funding for that program. I believe the phrase Garrett uses that he opened up the floodgates again to let those be going out because we stopped that program for a minute. This is Park Board, but we stopped that for a minute just to make sure we weren't funding things that we weren't going to get reimbursed for. Slowly over the last few months, we've let a few things out, and it has all been reimbursed, and so now we're back full bore with that program. All right, Human Rights Commission. I believe that was also Councilwoman Navarrete. Do we know who's going to be taking over on that?
Your full-time council president will be serving interimly on that position also. I do know the Human Rights Commission is having something coming for council that will be presented, so we'll see where that goes.
I do have questions for the Human Rights Commission when it comes to Justice for All. I think that's a conversation we're going to need to have, and so I would love to hear their perspective and where they're at, so if you could bring that back for us, that'd be helpful.
And also just I think the membership of the Human Rights, there's a couple of vacancies, which makes me concerned about what's the ordinance coming before us, if that group is ready to really take on something new. So,
Sure.
Yes, filling out the board, the commission.
All right, Plan Commission.
My previous meeting ran over, so I was quite late to Planning Commission, but they were getting a final presentation before their hearing on the Excelsior Wellness conditional use agreement or development agreement. I can't remember which one it was called. And then they had a pretty extensive, as Terrell said, workshop about the income brackets for housing and explaining again how that works. Like we're allowing for the zoning and supporting the concept of that housing. We are not a developer. So just because we have that in our plan and we have those goals doesn't mean that we can actually force that to happen. We're creating the conditions. So that was it for Plan Commission.
Okay. Bid board was, just looking at financials and things coming up in the future. There was some anti-encampment ordinance discussion about how it's going to affect downtown, but mostly looking at financials last time. DSP?
Yeah, at the policy committee meeting recently, there was a look at some of the preliminary feedback on the housing study that we funded with ARPA dollars. And so it's not finished yet, but I think it's getting close to wrapping up. And then the other was a presentation on the parks and school levy and bond.
Nice. Library board?
That's me. I had to miss last month. I think I was at AWC, and then this month is coming up this week, I think.
Nice. Park board met last week. We approved the resolution to support the downtown street tree program, which is exciting. We added we welcomed our new member, Miss Lee Williams, and I think that was mostly what we did. Yeah. Oh, we did get a presentation from the Friends of the Bluff. There's a new stair set that was, I think, mostly privately funded and built in the last couple months. I think the finishing touches are going in right now. Haven't explored it yet, but it looks very, very cool. I would encourage you all to go check it out. But made an entryway into some of the recreational area much safer. It was pretty cool project. So I'm forgetting.
It's by the Rocket Market.
Yeah.
By the
Yep.
Rocket Market.
Correct.
And then I'll just do. We skipped East Sprague and GMA. So East Sprague bid, a lot of good beautification happening. Hope everyone was able to see the 4th of July decorations in the new Sprague Union District banners. And then also reaching out to the Arts Commission about decorations for the garbage cans. And then GMA, we're meeting this week, as we talked about before.
Yes, last month was canceled, and they scheduled us for 4 hours this week.
And I apologize. I didn't even realize I'd skipped those. Priority Spokane.
So, Councilmember Bingham, under our new structure, council does not have a representation on that anymore. That is the
Get it outta here.
administration, so that can be deleted.
Yeah, same with the Regional Homeless Authority. I think we can get rid of that. That's not really meeting. Spokane Arts.
Yeah, had a bigger discussion around just the kind of future with funding and also staffing. I think some more just kind of what it would look like for a proposal for the city to have its own arts office and how that would still exist with the Arts Commission and the Spokane Arts Fund.
Wonderful. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Hot dog. Meeting's over, 2:20. Thank you.